Have you ever said something in the heat of the moment, only to feel that instant wave of regret wash over you? That sting of, "Why did I say that?" is all too familiar. We've all been there. In that split second, words become arrows, launched with precision, but impossible to retrieve. Now imagine a different reality, one where every word you speak reflects calm, clarity, and deep intelligence, where your speech isn't impulsive, but intentional. That's not just a fantasy, it's a skill, and it's exactly what we're diving into today. We're exploring 6 things an intelligent person never says, all drawn from the timeless wisdom of Stoic philosophy. The Stoics believe that our words are not mere sounds. They're echoes of our character, discipline, and understanding. Every sentence you speak can either elevate or diminish how others see you, and more importantly, how you see yourself. In this video, you'll learn how to avoid common verbal pitfalls, like pointless bragging, reactive defensiveness, or careless gossip. You'll also discover the power of silence, the strength behind speaking less but saying more, and the art of letting your presence do the talking. Whether you're navigating tough conversations at work, trying to strengthen your relationships, or simply working on becoming more thoughtful in your day-to-day life, this video is for you. Because the way you speak is not just communication, it's transformation. So stay with me. What you're about to learn could completely shift how you speak and how you're perceived. Number 1, avoid boasting about knowledge. Have you ever met someone who just couldn't resist turning every conversation into a monologue about their knowledge and accomplishments? They casually name-drop the books they've read, the awards they've won, or the important people they've worked with. At first, you might be intrigued, even impressed. But over time, something changes. That fascination begins to fade, replaced by discomfort or even quiet resentment. Not because what they say lacks value, but because of how they say it. This is where the wisdom of Stoic philosophy comes in. According to the Stoics, especially thinkers like Marcus Aurelius, true wisdom is humble. In his writings, Marcus once reflected, "Nature does not boast about what it creates, and neither should we." The Stoics believe that those who are genuinely wise have no need to show off. Their wisdom is evident in their actions, their calmness under pressure, and their ability to uplift others without drawing attention to themselves. Let me tell you a story. I once had a friend named John. John was brilliant, an expert in his field of technology, with years of experience and a resume that most people would envy. In meetings or social gatherings, however, John often felt the need to prove himself. He'd launch into detailed accounts of his achievements, discuss cutting-edge innovations he was involved in, and talk at length about the challenges he'd overcome. Initially, people admired him. He was clearly competent, driven, and knowledgeable. But gradually, something shifted. Conversations started to feel one-sided. His colleagues began avoiding deeper discussions with him. One day, a trusted coworker pulled John aside and said, "You're clearly brilliant, but the way you share your success makes others feel small." That moment hit John hard. For the first time, he realized that in trying to impress others, he was actually isolating himself from them. His words, instead of building bridges, were creating walls. It's a common trap, especially for those who have worked hard to earn their expertise. When you've poured years into learning, there's a natural desire to have that effort acknowledged. But the key question is, what's your intent? Are you sharing to genuinely help or inspire others? Or are you seeking validation and admiration? The Stoics would urge us to ask ourselves this before we speak. Boasting, even if it comes from a place of pride in our achievements, can have unintended consequences. It can make others feel less than, judged, or like they're in a competition they never agreed to join. So what's the alternative? First, let your actions speak louder than your words. If you're truly skilled or knowledgeable, people will notice, without you needing to spell it out. Real impact doesn't require a spotlight. It leaves its mark in how others feel after engaging with you. Second, practice humility. That doesn't mean pretending you don't know anything. It means allowing your value to be revealed naturally over time, rather than announcing it up front. It means being open to learning from others, even if you have more experience in the room. Third, listen more than you speak. The Stoics viewed silence not as weakness, but as a powerful sign of inner strength. When you listen, really listen, you gain insight, deepen your connections, and show others that their voice matters too. You demonstrate that you're not just wise. You're wise and emotionally intelligent. John learned this lesson gradually. He began focusing on asking thoughtful questions, genuinely engaging with others' ideas, and only offering his own experiences when they added value. He started contributing from a place of service, not superiority, and people noticed. They came to respect not only his knowledge, but his character. They no longer saw him as a competitor for attention, but as a mentor and teammate. Avoiding boastfulness doesn't mean hiding who you are or what you've done. It means sharing in a way that uplifts rather than overshadows. It means using your wisdom to connect, not to dominate. That's what the Stoics were really trying to teach us. Your words are mirrors of your inner self. So ask yourself, do your words reflect a need to be admired or a desire to add value? The answer shapes your path, not just in communication, but in the life you build and the relationships you nurture. True intelligence isn't about proving you're the smartest person in the room. It's about making everyone in the room feel smarter, stronger, and more inspired after talking with you. Number 2, never dismiss others' opinions. Have you ever been in a conversation where you shared your thoughts, only to have them brushed aside or dismissed before you even finished your sentence? It's not just frustrating, it's disheartening. You start to wonder if your voice really matters, or if what you have to offer holds any value. That sinking feeling can linger long after the moment has passed. I know this feeling all too well, because early in my career, I was the one causing it. Back when I first stepped into a leadership role, I took a lot of pride in my ability to make quick, decisive judgments. In one meeting, a colleague shared a suggestion about how we could streamline our workflow. I barely let them finish before cutting them off with a flat, "That won't work." I believed I was saving everyone time by shooting down what I saw as an impractical idea. What I didn't notice was the impact of that moment, the uncomfortable silence that followed, the hesitant glances among team members, and how the rest of the meeting lacked energy and engagement. No one else offered ideas after that. I had unintentionally shut down the room. Later, a trusted team member pulled me aside and gently said, "You know, that idea wasn't as bad as it sounded. Maybe you could have listened a bit longer." That hit me like a wake-up call. I hadn't just dismissed a suggestion, I had dismissed a person. I realized I was creating a culture where people didn't feel safe or respected enough to speak freely. That wasn't leadership, that was arrogance. Stoic philosophy has a powerful answer for this: humility and thought. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You cannot learn what you think you already know." When we shut down someone's opinion, we not only close the door on new ideas, we also cut off a chance to deepen our understanding of others, of problems, and of ourselves. The Stoics remind us that true wisdom doesn't reside in asserting your view louder or faster. It lies in openness. Every time we reject someone's perspective without truly listening, we chip away at trust and collaboration. And without those, nothing of lasting value can be built. After that meeting, I made a conscious decision to change. I didn't become less decisive, I became more attentive. I started entering meetings with a different mindset. What can I learn from this? Not every idea needed to be implemented, but every idea deserved to be heard. That one shift made all the difference. Instead of jumping in with counter-arguments, I paused. I listened fully, without preparing my response in my head. I asked follow-up questions, even about ideas I didn't initially agree with. And slowly, something amazing happened. My team started opening up. People who had once stayed silent now spoke up. The energy shifted, innovation returned, respect grew. What changed? Trust. You see, when people feel heard, they feel respected. And when they feel respected, they contribute more freely. The strength of a team, or any relationship really, rests on the foundation of being seen and heard. That's where collaboration begins. That's where real innovation is born. Another shift in perspective that helped me. Instead of asking, "Is this idea right or wrong?" I began asking, "What part of this idea has value?" Even flawed suggestions often contain a kernel of truth. An overlooked detail, a new angle, or a need that hadn't been considered. And even if the idea itself doesn't get used, the process of discussing it often leads to better solutions. Most importantly, I began practicing humility, another core Stoic principle. Stoicism teaches that we are not the center of the universe, and acting like we are, especially in conversation, only distances us from others. Dismissing another's opinion is often less about what they said and more about how we see ourselves. When we view our ideas as inherently superior, we stop learning, we stop connecting. After I embraced this mindset, our meetings transformed. I invited everyone to speak. I encouraged the quietest voices to share. I started seeing my role not as the one with the best ideas, but as the one who created the space for the best ideas to emerge. And emerge they did. Better, more creative, more collaborative than anything I could have come up with alone. So here's the truth. Not dismissing someone's opinion isn't just a polite habit. It's a strategy. It's a way to unlock hidden value, strengthen relationships, and foster an environment where people are willing to bring their full selves to the table. The Stoics believe that wisdom is not in being right. It's in seeking truth, no matter where it comes from. And often, that truth arrives in unexpected ways, through people we least expect, and in ideas that need space and patience to reveal their worth. So the next time someone shares a thought, take a breath. Let them finish. Ask a question. Get curious, because wisdom listens before it speaks. And the person you respect today might just be the one who helps you grow tomorrow. Number 3, refrain from complaining without purpose. Imagine someone like Peter, a middle-aged professional with a solid career and years of experience under his belt. From the outside, Peter appears to have it all together. He manages multiple work deadlines, juggles family responsibilities, and navigates the everyday hiccups that life throws at all of us. But there's one habit that quietly undermines his well-being and the relationships around him. He complains constantly. It started subtly, grumbling about a missed meeting or the office coffee machine being broken again. But over time, his complaints grew more frequent, more detailed, and more draining. He vented about his co-workers' inefficiencies, the poor traffic on his commute, and even the temperature in the break room. At first, his colleagues empathized. They listened, offered solutions, and nodded in solidarity. But as weeks turned into months, their patience wore thin. Soon, conversations with Peter became exhausting. People started avoiding him, not because they didn't care, but because his words had turned into a dark cloud they didn't want to walk under. And the worst part? Peter didn't even notice. He had become so used to airing his frustrations that he forgot to ask the one critical question. What am I doing to change this? One day during a lunch break, a friend finally spoke up. Peter, I understand your frustration, but what are you doing to fix any of this? That question stuck with him. It echoed in his mind long after lunch ended. He realized he hadn't been searching for solutions, just indulging in the temporary relief of venting. And in doing so, he wasn't just dragging down the energy of those around him. He was reinforcing his own sense of helplessness. This is more common than we think. Many of us fall into the same trap. Complaining feels good in the moment. It gives us an outlet, a way to release pressure. But when it becomes habitual and directionless, it's like spinning our tires in the mud. We're making noise, but going nowhere. Stoic philosophy offers a powerful framework here. Marcus Aurelius, one of its most revered thinkers, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." When we complain about things beyond our control, bad weather, difficult people, past mistakes, we amplify our powerlessness. We stay stuck, reliving the frustration without ever moving forward. But not all complaints are bad. There is a distinction between venting and voicing concerns with purpose. When framed constructively, complaints can lead to real solutions. They can highlight patterns, bring attention to neglected issues, and inspire action. The key is intent. Are you complaining to solve or simply to stew? So how can you move away from the trap of purposeless complaining? Start with a single grounding question. What can I do about this? If the answer is nothing, then let it go. Stewing in frustration about uncontrollable circumstances only steals your peace. Instead, redirect that energy. Reflect, read, or take a moment to appreciate something that is going well. Gratitude is a powerful antidote to bitterness. Another strategy is to reframe your perspective. Rather than asking, "Why does this always happen to me?" try asking, "What is this moment trying to teach me?" Stoicism teaches us that every challenge, every obstacle, is a hidden opportunity for growth. Complaining clouds that vision. Reflection reveals it. Returning to Peter, he took his friend's comments seriously. He made a conscious effort to change. Instead of complaining about his manager, he started preparing thoughtful suggestions for process improvements. Instead of dreading his long commute, he turned it into learning time with audiobooks and mindfulness practices. Slowly, his energy shifted. His words carried more impact because they were no longer soaked in negativity. His colleagues began to re-engage with him, seeking out his calm, solution-focused perspective. Refraining from purposeless complaints is not about bottling up emotions. It's about reclaiming your power. It's about choosing action over helplessness, clarity over noise. Stoic wisdom reminds us that our words and thoughts are tools. Used wisely, they can help us build a life rooted in resilience, peace, and deeper connection. So next time you feel the urge to complain, pause and ask yourself, is this helping me grow or keeping me stuck? The answer could change not only your mindset, but your life. Number 4, no empty promises. Promises hold a special kind of power in our lives. They're not just words, they're expectations. They're emotional contracts, and sometimes they're lifelines people hold on to. Promises build trust, sustain relationships, and shape how others see us. But how often do we make them without fully weighing the consequences? How often do we overcommit, not out of malice, but from a place of good intentions that outpace our capacity? Stoic philosophy offers a powerful reminder here. Your word is sacred. A promise made lightly, even with the best of intentions, is still a risk to your integrity if it goes unfulfilled. The Stoics, especially Marcus Aurelius, believed in the alignment of word and deed. He once wrote, "Let your words be plain and true." In this simple statement lies a profound lesson: speak only what you can stand behind. Let's consider the story of Greg. Greg was a well-meaning man in his early 50s, a seasoned professional managing a high-pressure job and a busy family life. He genuinely cared about those around him. He wanted to support his team and be present for his family. But somewhere along the way, Greg developed a habit of making promises too quickly. He'd assure his team that he'd review reports by Monday, or promise his son he'd attend the weekend soccer match, or tell his wife he'd be home for dinner. But time after time, life got in the way. Meetings ran late, deadlines shifted, or he simply ran out of energy. At first, people gave him the benefit of the doubt. After all, Greg was a busy man doing his best. But as the unkept promises stacked up, frustration began to brew. His colleagues grew skeptical, quietly making backup plans in case Greg didn't follow through. At home, his family began to brace for disappointment whenever he made a commitment. The emotional cost of broken promises began to show. Then came the wake-up call. After missing yet another family dinner, Greg found a handwritten note on his desk from his teenage daughter. It read, "We just want you to mean it when you say it. No anger, no guilt tripping, just honest disappointment." And that cut deeper than any confrontation could have. Greg realized something profound. His promises weren't just logistical, they were emotional. His empty commitments weren't just minor scheduling slips. They were quiet acts of betrayal. He wasn't just disappointing people, he was teaching them not to trust him. This is where Stoic wisdom steps in. The Stoics believe that integrity isn't about saying much. It's about meaning what you say and following through. An unkept promise, no matter how small, is like writing a check that your character can't cash. It weakens your credibility, not just in others' eyes, but in your own. So how can we break the habit of making empty promises? First, pause before committing. Ask yourself honestly, do I have the time, energy, and resources to do this well? If the answer is uncertain, resist the pressure to say yes. It's better to set honest, grounded expectations than to overpromise and underdeliver. Instead of saying, "I'll have this done by tomorrow," try, "I'll aim for tomorrow," but if I need more time, I'll keep you posted. It's a small change in language that signals thoughtfulness and reliability. Second, practice under-promising and over-delivering. This simple principle builds trust over time. If Greg tells his team he'll need 3 days to review a document and finishes in 2, that extra day becomes a signal, not of speed, but of dependability. It tells others, I won't make promises I can't keep, and when I can do more, I will. Third, take accountability when you fall short. Nobody is perfect. Life happens. But how you handle a broken promise speaks volumes. If you can't follow through, acknowledge it, apologize, explain briefly, and offer a solution. People are far more forgiving of setbacks than they are of excuses. Greg began to shift his approach. He started saying no when he needed to, not out of avoidance, but out of respect, for others and for himself. He became intentional about his yes. If he made a commitment, he followed through. And if something came up, he communicated early and clearly. Slowly, trust returned. His team began to believe in his word again. His family saw real effort behind his promises, and perhaps most importantly, Greg felt a deep shift within himself. No more guilt gnawing at him for unfulfilled commitments. No more scrambling to recover lost credibility. There was a quiet peace in knowing his words now carried weight, because they were backed by intention and action. In the end, avoiding empty promises isn't about perfection. It's about being real. It's about choosing quality over quantity in the commitments we make. Stoic philosophy teaches us that true strength lies in consistency, not charisma, in substance, not sound. So before you make that next promise, pause. Ask yourself, will I follow through? Because it's not the number of promises that define you, it's the ones you keep. And hey, if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss more of this life-changing wisdom. If this resonates with you, leave a comment saying, I love this wisdom. Let's continue. Number 5, don't deny your mistakes. Have you ever felt like admitting a mistake is the same as confessing weakness? Like opening the door for judgment, criticism, or even failure? I used to feel the same way. I believed that acknowledging an error would make me look incompetent, unreliable, even unworthy. But one experience and the wisdom of Stoic philosophy changed everything for me. The Stoics teach that admitting your mistakes isn't a sign of failure, it's a sign of strength. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most admired Stoic philosophers, wrote, "If someone is able to prove me wrong and show me my mistake in any thought or action, I will gladly change. For it is the truth I seek, and the truth never harmed anyone." This quote hit me differently after a personal experience that forced me to face the consequences of a mistake head-on. A few years ago, I was leading a high-stakes project at work. We were under immense pressure, tight deadlines, limited resources, high expectations. In the rush to get everything done, I overlooked a few key details in a report that was going directly to upper management. Those details ended up being crucial, and when the inaccuracies were discovered, my team faced criticism that shook everyone's confidence. My first instinct? Defend myself. Blame the workload, the time crunch, the lack of support, anything but myself. But deep down, I knew the truth. I had made a mistake. I had rushed. I hadn't double-checked something I knew was important. And as tempting as it was to shift the blame, I realized that doing so would only erode the trust I had worked so hard to build, not just with management, but with my own team. At our next meeting, I took a deep breath and did what felt terrifying at the time. I owned up to it. I said, "This was my oversight. I made the mistake. I take full responsibility." I didn't stop at an apology, though. I shared the steps I'd already taken to fix the issue and outlined how I planned to prevent it from happening again. What happened next surprised me. There was no finger-pointing, no ridicule, no harsh judgment. Instead, something unexpected happened. People thanked me. Some said they appreciated the honesty. Others said it made them feel safer and more supported, knowing they were working under someone who could take responsibility and grow from it. That moment taught me a valuable lesson. Admitting a mistake doesn't weaken your authority. It strengthens your credibility. It makes people trust you more, not less. Because when you stop hiding behind excuses, you step into leadership of others and of yourself. But why is owning up to mistakes so powerful? Because it breaks down walls, it removes defensiveness and replaces it with humility. It sends a strong, clear message. I care more about the truth than protecting my ego. And in doing that, you foster an environment where others feel safe to admit their own shortcomings. It becomes less about blame and more about building solutions together. Let's be honest though, admitting mistakes is hard. We fear judgment. We worry about losing respect. Let's be honest though, admitting mistakes is hard. We fear judgment. We worry about losing respect. But let's flip that question. Does denying an obvious mistake make you look better? Or does it make you seem unreliable, insecure, or dishonest? The truth is, it takes more courage to own a mistake than to cover it up. Owning it shows you are confident enough to face the consequences and committed enough to make things right. And over time, that kind of courage becomes the foundation of real respect. So how can you apply this in your own life? Start with self-awareness. When something goes wrong, resist the urge to point fingers. Ask yourself honestly, what role did I play in this? Even if your share of the blame is small, acknowledging it creates a ripple effect of honesty and growth. Next, follow through with action. Apologies mean little without change. Show others and yourself that you're working to fix the issue and prevent it from repeating. Whether it's a misstep in a project or a broken promise to a loved one, change becomes the proof of your accountability. Stoic philosophy reminds us that mistakes are not disasters. They're lessons. Every error holds a chance to grow, to refine our understanding, to strengthen our character. Those who embrace this idea become more resilient, more grounded, and more inspiring to those around them. The next time you mess up, and we all will, don't hide, don't deny, don't deflect, pause, reflect, take responsibility, and then commit to doing better. Because the courage to admit your mistakes doesn't just set you apart, it earns you lasting respect. And in that honesty, you'll find not just growth, but freedom. Number 6, don't overshare future plans. The Stoics believed in the power of restraint, not just in emotion, but in speech. They emphasize that our words carry weight and should be used with intention, especially when it comes to promises or sharing future plans. While many of us think that voicing our ambitions or commitments signals confidence, Stoic wisdom warns us that talking too much about what we will do can actually weaken our credibility and sap our motivation. When you overshare future plans or make commitments lightly, you risk creating expectations that you may not fulfill, and every unkept promise, no matter how small, chips away at the trust others place in you. Let me share a story that might sound familiar. Meet Jim. He's a friendly, well-meaning, middle-aged professional with a warm demeanor and a deep desire to make people happy. Whether it was a colleague needing help with a report, a friend moving apartments, or a neighbor organizing a weekend community cleanup, Jim had a go-to response. Sure, count me in. It made him feel helpful, connected, and appreciated. But as life got busier, Jim's calendar became cluttered with more commitments than he could reasonably handle. What began as enthusiastic promises quickly turned into forgotten plans and broken expectations. He'd miss appointments, cancel last minute, or simply not show up. The intentions were good, but the follow-through wasn't there. One day, a close friend invited Jim to an important family dinner. As usual, Jim said yes without checking his schedule. Later, he unknowingly booked a work meeting for the same time and didn't remember until it was too late. The next day, his friend told him how disappointed their family was. It wasn't said in anger, just quiet sadness. And that hit Jim harder than any confrontation ever could. That was Jim's wake-up call. He realized something critical. His words, meant to please in the moment, were doing real damage in the long term. The promises he made weren't malicious, but they were hollow, and slowly they were eroding the very relationships he cared most about. This story is a powerful reminder of a Stoic truth. Words without substance are not harmless. The philosopher Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." This applies not only to our values, but to our intentions. Authenticity and action must go hand in hand. Often we overcommit because we're afraid of saying no. We don't want to disappoint others, be perceived as selfish, or miss an opportunity. But what causes far more harm than a respectful no is a thoughtless yes that leads to a broken promise. It's not the refusal that damages trust, it's the unreliability that follows. So how can we avoid falling into the trap of oversharing or overpromising? First, pause before speaking. When someone asks for a commitment, big or small, don't respond on autopilot. Take a breath, reflect. Ask yourself, does this align with my priorities? Do I actually have the time and energy to do this well? If not, it's okay to say, I'd love to help, but I can't commit right now. Second, prioritize quality over quantity. You don't have to say yes to everything. Second, prioritize quality over quantity. You don't have to say yes to everything. In fact, the more selective you are, the more effective and respected you'll become. It's far better to commit to a few meaningful tasks and follow through with excellence than to scatter yourself across too many and disappoint everyone. Third, learn to embrace the power of no. Saying no isn't selfish, it's wise. The Stoics believed we should focus on what's within our control, and that includes our time and energy. When you protect those resources, you preserve your ability to deliver on the promises that truly matter. Jim took these lessons to heart. He started saying no more often, not out of rejection, but out of respect. He learned to be clear and honest, telling people when he genuinely couldn't commit. And when he did say yes, it meant something. It meant he would show up, be present, and follow through. Over time, something shifted. People began to respect Jim more, not because he agreed to everything, but because when he did commit, they knew he'd deliver. His relationships deepened and his personal peace grew, simply because his words and actions were finally in harmony. Avoiding the trap of oversharing or overpromising isn't just about managing your time. It's about preserving your integrity. The Stoics remind us that every commitment is a reflection of our character. And when your actions consistently back up your words, you become someone others can truly count on. So next time someone asks you to commit, or you feel the urge to announce a big plan, pause, reflect, speak with intention, and only say yes when you truly mean it. That's not just Stoic wisdom, that's real strength. If this message resonates with you, hit the subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, and leave a comment below. Share a time when being honest about your limits helped you strengthen a relationship. And if you don't know what to say, just comment, "I love this," to show you've made it to the end of this lesson. I'll leave a couple more videos here so you can continue on your journey to inner peace and personal power. See you in the next one.